Ooh.
And I've actually had my aunt call me one time and tell me, "Oh, but you don't have any kids. Kwani, where does your money go?"
Wow.
Right? Especially with Kikuyu, and I'm sorry because I'm one, especially with Kikuyu parents. So once you agree to sponsor their kids through high school, they expect you to meet every need, right? So if the shoes don't fit, viatu za mtoto. And so now what I did is I put my foot down and I said, I am not the father of those kids. I'll only be paying for school fees. This is Wanderi from Boston. Okay, so great topic, by the way, and good evening.
Good evening.
So I will not get into the percentages, but yeah. Last year I called myself into a meeting because I realized I was on average sending between 18 to 25,000 a year in Kenya to people.
Yeah.
And yes, and that's not money that is going to benefit me. So it is, you're paying school fees, sijui nini, all kinds of things. And at some point, I actually went through all my statements from, Wave and all that. And I knew I was sending a lot of money, but I didn't know I was sending that kind of money.
Wow. Okay.
Right? It was really shocking. But actually, what made me do that is because, I lost my brother, and he had kids, and so I was supporting. I've been supporting his kids. And the baby mama one time, she cast me out because I'd sent her money for fare to take my nephew to school, and then she actually spent the money. Right? I had paid for everything. I'd given her fare. She spent the money. And then she called me asking me to send her fare, and I told her I already sent you fare.
And
she cast me out for refusing to send, the second fare, basically, because I put my foot down. So the way she cast me out, that was the best thing she ever did to me. Because I need to see very, very strong words that were not necessary. I've been there for her for 10 years.
Pole sana.
But it made me question myself.
Pole sana.
And
So
I went back and...
Literally alikula fare.
Yes. And I went and asked for all the statements from mostly Wave and also do bank transfer.
Okay.
And when I went back the last 10 years and I realized, even like from around 2019, the money just kept increasing. And then, of course, after COVID, I think the highest I got was 24,000. And I was like, there is no way this is happening again. And so I put my...
So over a 10-year period, that was you likely sent more than 200K over a 10-year period.
Oh, way more than that, because the statement I got from Wave actually shocked me. And I had never requested for it until I requested it, and I was blown away at how much money I had spent. And then now I have the bank transfers. And that is not money going to me. It's not an investment or anything.
But now that, from the moment you learned that you were sending a lot of money, maybe what steps did you take to mitigate the amount of money that you are sending? And how did you handle that situation? I mean, of course, you talked about one of your brother's baby mamas, but now the other people who are depending on this money, how did you handle it, and how did your relationship with them go from there when you said that we cannot keep doing this?
So some of them we've cut ties, and that was actually a good thing. Like the baby mama, we cut ties, and we actually had a meeting with her family, and I told them this cannot continue.
Wow. So
I will only pay school fees. And I told them very clearly, I was basically paying everything. And I think what happens, at least in my case, somebody calls you, hey, Wanderi, sijui mtoto ni mgonjwa. And then, it's like maybe 15,000. So in your head, you're like, okay, that's only like $90 or whatever, right? So you don't see it as a lot of money because you're doing small amounts. And so now what I did is I put my foot down and I said, I am not the father of those kids. I'll only be paying for school fees, period. If there is sijui uniform, mtoto ni mgonjwa, I put my foot down. I called the family to a meeting and I told them, I will only pay school fees. If there is a trip at school, I am not paying for it. So this seems like the last 8 months. That is what I have done. I also sponsor kids to high school. And what I found out, and this is something I'm learning, especially with Kikuyu, and I'm sorry because I'm one, especially with Kikuyu parents. So once you agree to sponsor their kids through high school, they expect you to meet every need, right? So if the shoes don't fit, viatu za mtoto, if the uniform does not fit, right? And I have paid school fees for other tribes. They don't have that nonsense. If you pay the school fees, the parents are very glad you've agreed to take the school fees. Kikuyu beneficiaries, for some reason, they want everything to be on you. And I've talked to a few people, and we found out it's very consistent, right? So you pay the school fees, they come and tell you, sina fare kupeleka mtoto shule. Sijui viatu zimefanya nini. And you'll ask them, what are you going to contribute? And they will shamelessly tell you nothing. Right? So that is also something that I have changed. It's like if you agree to sponsor a child, unless it's a very, very dire situation, and there's a few of those which are very dire. But if it's the other cases, then it's like, no, I will help you with the school fees. The rest of it is on you. You have to do the rest of it. So that's what I've done. Even with my own family now, I tell them, I'm like, no, you're not going to do this anymore.
Wow. Okay.
And you tell them, it's like you realize, I've lived in America for 27 years, and you find out you've just been living for others, and these people will never be there for you. They will never be there for you. And we're getting older, so we have to think of our future, and that is what has been the wake-up call for me. But you have to secure your own future, because these people just keep pushing the boundaries of what you should do for them.
Now, Wanjeri, before we let you go, I think Mike has a question, but real quick, just tell us, do you think this habit where, you're paying fees, but now it morphs into school uniform and money for trips and money for harambes that are happening in school, are we the ones, we diasporans, are we the ones who enabled this behavior, or where did it come from? Because for every Wanjeri who has now refused to pay for the shoes and for the harambes, there are 10 other people who, any other expense being loaded, they kubali and they pay the extra amount. So are we the ones who are enabling it, or what exactly is happening, especially like within your community? Wanjeri?
I think, like in my case, and I'll give you the example with the baby mama, right? I have been paying for everything. And when I say everything, I literally mean everything. And I was like, let's see what will happen when I don't pay for all those things. And I put my foot down, and for several months, she will get other people to call me, because I blocked her. And I put my foot down and I said, no. They're still continuing, right? Life is going on for them. My nephew is still going to school. But I think some of it, especially among Kikuyus, and I'll say this because I have seen it with my community, I think some of it is a sense of entitlement. And then if you're someone like me who has no kids, people feel very entitled to your money. Ooh. And I've actually had my aunt call me one time and tell me, but you don't have any kids. Where does your money go?
Wow. Right? Okay, now that right there is another dimension that we had not even thought about. That right there is a very unique, different dimension. That entitlement coming because people know you don't have a child.
Yes. And like for me, that is actually one of the traps that I fell into, right? It's like, people guilt you into, you don't have kids. And then, they see that you travel and they think they should, you should not be traveling when they're suffering. And I told them, no, I save to travel. So that my money for travel is not debatable. It's not, But I think part of it is, and I have a lot of friends who have no kids, is because you have no kids, then you're guilted into raising all the other kids in your family from your brothers, maybe they're drunkards or whatever, and you know what alcohol has done to people in Central.
Oh, yes.
So you see these kids that genuinely need to go to school, especially. And then I think the other problem, like is in Kenya, like if you take, let's say, a Form 1 child, the money they have to do upfront as a Form 1 child to go to school is insane.
It's
right?
insane,
So some schools, on average, the uniform is at least 30,000. So you're telling this parent they need at least 70,000 to 100,000 to report to Form 1 because they have to buy mattresses, so some of this you genuinely see it's a need that you need to help, and then maybe decide you will not do it again.
Yeah. Okay.